Hello, friend. Welcome back to Unlock Your Child's Full Potential podcast, where we focus on the mindset shifts, practical tools, and strategies that empower us to positively and effectively influence our kids. I'm your host, Billy, and today I want to make some time to share a bit about something that's been really meaningful to me as I've worked through my positive parenting certification. It's been a journey of discovery, not just as a parent, but as a person. And I've learned so much about how we can build stronger, more connected relationships with our children. But before I dive in, I want to give a little background. Most parents tend to fall into one of three common parenting styles, or sometimes we blend a couple together, even without realizing it. These styles shape the way we communicate, how we discipline, and how we relate to our kids on a day-to-day basis. And by understanding these different approaches, we can start to think about where we want to go next and what might work best for our family. So today, we're going to look at these three parenting styles: autocratic, permissive, and democratic. And we'll explore how a shift in mindset can help us move toward a more democratic style, one that's rooted in mutual respect, firm boundaries, and authentic connection. The first parenting style is autocratic. This is the classic my way or the highway approach. I think a lot of us can relate to this because, let's face it, many of us were raised this way. In an autocratic style, the parent is the boss. The focus is on control, using fear, force, or even bribery to get children to do what we want. It's about compliance, and the methods often include punishment, threats, guilt, and love withdrawal. Now, it's easy to fall into this pattern, especially when we're overwhelmed or just trying to get through the day. But what I've learned through my certification is that this approach, while it might seem to work in the short term, actually damages our relationship with our children. It creates a power struggle where kids either become compliant out of fear or they resist and push back. When fear is used as a motivator, kids instinctively protect themselves by lying, blaming others, hiding the truth. They might follow orders in the moment, but they don't develop the internal motivation to make good decisions on their own. And it doesn't promote the learning we want to see in the long run. Punishment often has the opposite effect of what we hope for. Instead of reflecting on their behavior and learning from it, children focus on how to get even, either with us or with other authority figures. They might not always retaliate directly, but their frustration and hurt can show up in passive ways, like sulking, being uncooperative, picking on siblings or pets, or even running away from home or forgetting responsibilities like chores. As parents, it's tempting to respond with more coercion, but that only leads to more disrespectful behavior from our kids, creating a vicious cycle. And let's talk about another favorite tool, rewards. Imagine telling your child, if you get an A on this test, I'll give you $20. Sure, they might study hard for that A, but what happens when there's no money on the line? Rewards can be just as controlling as punishments, and they don't teach kids the real value of learning or working hard. What's more, if we keep raising the stakes with bigger rewards, we teach them that external motivation is what matters, instead of building that internal drive. So while autocratic parenting might get quick, short-term results, it doesn't nurture the kind of relationship or long-term growth we truly want for our kids. It's not just about obedience. It's about guiding our children in a way that helps them develop the skills and internal motivation they'll need throughout their lives. Then the second style is permissive parenting. Now, if rewards and punishment aren't the way to discipline, does that mean that we should let our kids do whatever they want? No, not at all. But permissive parenting often looks like that. It's when we avoid conflict, give in, or just let things slide because we don't want to upset our child or deal with the hustle. Permissiveness can show up in many forms. Maybe it's not caring about grades or who our child's friends are, or letting them stay late without consequences. And while this might feel like we're being kind, the truth is it sends the message that we don't care enough to set boundaries. Kids actually want structure, they crave it, even if they don't show it. Without boundaries, they may feel lost and even start seeking that structure and care from other people. When we are too permissive, we're also missing out on teachable moments. Kids make mistakes, and that's how they learn. But if we don't address those mistakes, or if we're too lenient when consequences are needed, we're depriving our kids from valuable life lessons. And this brings us to the third style, which is democratic parenting. This is where positive parenting falls, and it's a style that I've really come to believe in. Democratic parenting is all about being both kind and firm. It's rooted in mutual respect, where both the parent and the child have a voice, and everyone's needs are considered. In this style, discipline isn't about punishment or letting things go. It's about guiding our children with love and teaching them how to develop their own inner compass. This means we're helping them build self-control, self-regulation, and responsibility from the inside out, instead of relying on external rewards or fear of punishment. Democratic parenting is based on what's called authentic power. It's not about judging our children as right or wrong. Instead, it's about understanding their feelings, needs, and desires, and working together to meet them. It's about connection on a deeper level, where we help our children feel seen, heard, and valued. And in turn, they are more likely to respond with cooperation and respect. One of the key components of this style is mutual respect. If our kids don't feel respected by us, they're not going to feel motivated to respect us in return. Respect in a democratic home is earned, not demanded. For example, if you want your child to knock on your door before entering your bedroom, you need to do the same for them. It's about modeling the behavior we want to see. Now, I know this might feel a little unfamiliar or even uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to parenting in a more autocratic way. But that's okay. It's a learning process for all of us. And honestly, it's so worth the effort because the relationships we build with our children through democratic parenting are deeper and more fulfilling. So how do we start from moving from a more autocratic or permissive style to a democratic one? It all starts with a mindset shift. Before we can even begin to implement new tools or strategies, we have to change the way we see parenting. Here are a few tips I would like to offer. When in doubt, back off. If you feel yourself getting worked up, pause. Forcing the issue usually makes things worse. Take a breath, give yourself space to calm down, and then approach the situation with a clearer mind. See your child as a human, not as a problem. Children are not misbehaving because they're bad. They're just trying to meet their needs, just like we all do. Approach them with the same grace you'd want for yourself. Sometimes that simple perspective shift can be a game changer in how we respond. And finally, ask yourself, how would I have wanted my parent to handle a situation like this when I was younger? This reflection can help you stay connected to your child's emotional experience and guide your actions with empathy. One of the most powerful tools we have as parents is the ability to shift our paradigm, to see things differently. We've been conditioned to interpret our kids' behavior in certain ways. For example, when a child misbehaves, it's easy to jump to conclusions and think they're being stubborn, spoiled, or even selfish. But what if we took a step back and started seeing that behavior from a new perspective? Let's talk about changing our beliefs. Many of us grew up with the idea that when children misbehave, it's because they're seeking attention, being stubborn, or just being naughty. We might feel like their actions are a reflection of our parenting, making us think that a misbehaving child equals a bad child, which then means we're bad parents. And sometimes we even convince ourselves that our kids know exactly how to push our buttons on purpose. But a paradigm shift challenges those old beliefs. Instead of seeing misbehavior as a sign that something is wrong with the child or with us as parents, what if we saw it as a signal that their needs aren't being met? When we approach things with empathy, curiosity, we can start to understand what's really driving the behavior and address it at the root. So let's talk about these new beliefs. Children don't misbehave just because they're being difficult. They're trying to communicate something deeper. Maybe they need to feel a sense of belonging or be reassured that they're loved. Perhaps they're seeking to feel powerful, wanting to feel valued, or looking for a place where they truly fit in. Sometimes they're exploring and experimenting, pushing boundaries not out of defiance, but out of a need to learn. Other times, their basic needs may not be met. They might be overstimulated, lacking rest, or feeling unsafe. By embracing this shift, we can start seeing misbehavior not as a problem to be fixed, but as an opportunity to understand what's really going on. When we look at our children through the lens of their unmet needs, it becomes our job to listen, to really hear what they're trying to express, and to guide them in meeting those needs in healthier ways. Here's a key thought to keep in mind. It's not about control, it's about connection. When we focus on building the connection first, the behavior will naturally follow. By prioritizing their emotional needs, we can help our children feel seen, heard, and understood, which paves the way for more positive behavior and a stronger relationship. Now, I'll be honest, it's hard work. It takes patience, persistence, and sometimes it feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But over time, we'll see our children developing the internal motivation, self-discipline, and resilience that they need to thrive in the world. And it starts with us, by shifting our mindset and embracing a new way of thinking about parenting. As we make this shift, it's important to recognize some common missteps that we all tend to fall into. Things like criticism, where the average child hears hundreds of negative comments a day compared to only a handful of positive ones. Or the overuse of no and don't, which can become really discouraging if it's all our children hear. Comparison is another one. Comparing siblings or friends, which can breed competition and leave our kids feeling like they're never good enough. And finally, there's overprotection. When we protect our kids from every challenge, we send the message that we don't believe they can handle it. But it's through struggle and overcoming obstacles that children build confidence and resilience. And we need to be willing to learn from our children too. While we guide them, they also have things to teach us, if we're open to observing and learning from their strengths. At the end of the day, it all starts with us. Once we've shifted our mindset and raised our awareness of how we're currently parenting, we can move forward with self-acceptance and compassion. It's never too late to make a change, but it's a process and it takes time. We have to heal our own wounds, understand our own triggers, and nurture ourselves before we can truly implement these parenting tools with success. And this is where it helps to have someone by your side. Parenting can feel isolating and it's easy to doubt ourselves. But we are not alone in this. I'm here for you, and we are on this journey together. Thank you for listening, friend. I hope this episode gave you something valuable to reflect on as you continue building those meaningful, respectful, and loving relationships with your kids. If you found it helpful, please share it with a friend who might benefit from it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Your support means the world to me.